Good evening, and welcome to Sky Tonight. The waning gibbous moon is currently 63% illuminated. You can find it rising late in the evening and riding high after midnight in the constellation Pisces. Please enable captions in your preferred language to view local observing cities and times. Join us for a guided tour of the entire sky visible tonight. As evening settles, Venus hangs halfway up the southern sky while the Hercules cluster and Vega sit almost straight overhead, with Hamal near the eastern horizon and Albireo high in the southern sky. Moving into the late night, the Dumbbell Nebula remains high in the southern sky and Deneb is almost straight overhead. Mars appears near the eastern horizon, and the Alpha Capricornids meteors streak across the sky. Toward morning, the Dirichlet group is almost straight overhead. Mercury rises near the eastern horizon. Saturn is halfway up the southern sky. The double cluster sits high in the northern sky, and the Perseids meteors add to the show. We close the night with 4 satellite crossings of the moon. Look halfway up the southern sky for Venus, a dazzling silver-white planet that outshines every star. It is visible to the naked eye, appearing near greatest elongation. A telescope or binoculars may be used to reveal extra detail. In Los Angeles, the planet culminates at 8:20 in the evening, while in New York it reaches its greatest altitude at 8:40 in the evening, and in London it peaks at 9:25 in the evening. In 1970, the Soviet Venera 7 became the first spacecraft ever to land softly on another planet and send back data, though the searing heat and crushing pressure silenced it within about an hour. Almost straight overhead in Hercules, find the Hercules cluster, also known as M13. Use binoculars to spot this dim fuzzball on the west side of the keystone, a globe of 300,000 stars. Around 8:45 in the evening, the cluster is best placed in Los Angeles and New York, whereas in London it is highest at 9:25 in the evening. Amateur astronomers have made M13 one of their favorite deep sky observing targets, and it remains a popular destination in telescopes worldwide during spring and summer months. Vega shines almost straight overhead in Lyra, forming one corner of the summer triangle. This fast-spinning blue-white star is surrounded by a dusty debris disk and is easily visible to the naked eye. This star culminates around 10:40 in the evening for observers in Los Angeles, New York, and London, remaining above the horizon all night in London. In 1983, the IRIS satellite detected an excess of infrared radiation around Vega. This led to the discovery of a dust disk surrounding the star, one of the first direct pieces of evidence for planet-forming material around other stars. Hamal rises near the eastern horizon in Aries, one of the 50 brightest stars in the night sky. Follow the chain from Merak through Sheraton to locate this bright point, keeping in mind that twilight may affect visibility. It rises at 10:01 in the evening in London, at 10:40 in the evening in New York, and at 10:56 in the evening in Los Angeles. In antiquity, Hamal was a star of special astronomical significance, because in classical times the point of the vernal equinox was located near the constellation Aries, making it an important reference point in astronomical calendars. Locate the Northern Cross of Cygnus, a prominent star pattern, and look high in the southern sky for Albireo at its foot. This golden yellow star is visible to the naked eye. A small telescope splits it into a gold and a blue star. Around 11:35 in the evening, this star reaches its greatest altitude in Los Angeles, New York, and London. The very name Albireo is essentially a scholarly blunder, born when a medieval Latin translator's note referring to an aromatic herb, Ab-ireo, was misread as a star name and later dressed up with an Arabic-looking letter, L. The Dumbbell Nebula is this night's featured deep sky object, located high in the southern sky in Vulpecula. Sweep binoculars or a telescope just north of the arrow of Sagitta to find this dying star wrapped in a two-lobed cloud. The nebula culminates around 12 midnight for viewers in Los Angeles, New York, and London. The Dumbbell Nebula claims a historic first. Charles Messier discovered it in 1764, making it the first planetary nebula ever recorded. The Alpha Capricornids meteors are active tonight, though they are 5 days past their peak. Look halfway up the southern sky in Capricornus for up to 2 meteors per hour, letting your eyes wander off the radiant for longer trails. The radiant reaches its highest point around 12:30 after midnight, as seen in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Deneb marks the tail of the swan almost straight overhead in Cygnus. This blue-white star sits at the top of the Northern Cross and forms one corner of the Summer Triangle. Around 12:45 after midnight, this star culminates for observers in Los Angeles, New York, and London, staying above the horizon all night in London. Deneb is the most luminous first-magnitude star in the entire naked-eye sky. This makes it one of the most extreme objects a human can directly observe without a telescope. Mars rises near the eastern horizon in Taurus as an orange-red point. It is visible to the naked eye and can be found low in the east as it comes up. The earliest rise belongs to London at 1:33 in the morning, with New York following at 2:12 in the morning and Los Angeles at 2:28 in the morning. A Martian day, called a sol, is approximately 24 hours and 39 minutes, making it very similar to Earth's 24-hour day, which facilitates human adaptation if colonies are established. We now turn to the crossings of Phobos across the disk of Mars. Phobos makes its first crossing of the apparent disk of Mars, lasting 54 minutes. This event occurs between 7:07 in the morning and 8:01 in the morning in Los Angeles, where Mars is above the horizon. It takes place between 10:07 in the morning and 11:01 in the morning in New York, with Mars above the horizon. The crossing also happens between 3:07 in the afternoon and 4:01 in the afternoon in London, where Mars is above the horizon. Phobos makes its next crossing of the apparent disk of Mars, lasting 54 minutes. This event occurs between 2:46 in the afternoon and 3:40 in the afternoon in Los Angeles, where Mars is above the horizon. In New York and London, Mars is below the horizon. Phobos makes its next crossing of the apparent disk of Mars, lasting 54 minutes. This event occurs between 6:26 in the morning and 7:20 in the morning in London, where Mars is above the horizon. In Los Angeles and New York, Mars is below the horizon. The Dirichlet Group is this night's featured deep sky object, located almost straight overhead in Pegasus. Go north of Matar in Pegasus to find this big, bright spiral galaxy, which appears with 5 distant companions in a small telescope. The group is best placed around 2:40 in the morning for astronomers in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Just next door in the sky sits Stephan's Quintet, a knot of colliding galaxies chosen as one of the 5 debut images of the James Webb Telescope in 2022. In catalogs, it is listed as NGC 7331. The Southern Delta Aquariids meteors are active tonight, 5 days past their peak. Look halfway up the southern sky in Aquarius for up to 10 meteors per hour, letting your eyes wander off the radiant for the longest trails. Around 2:40 in the morning, the radiant reaches its greatest altitude for observers in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Mercury rises near the eastern horizon in Gemini as a steady point. It is visible to the naked eye and can be found low in the east as it comes up. Mercury rises at 3:53 in the morning in London, at 4:24 in the morning in New York, and at 4:37 in the morning in Los Angeles. On Mercury, the sunlit surface can soar to about 430 degrees Celsius, then plunge to roughly minus 180 degrees Celsius at night, one of the most extreme temperature swings of any world in the solar system. Saturn is visible halfway up the southern sky in Pisces as a steady, unblinking golden point. It is fainter than Jupiter, but its calm yellow glow gives it away, though twilight may brighten the sky in some areas. The planet culminates around 4:50 in the morning for viewers in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Temperatures at Saturn's cloud tops plunge to approximately -180 degrees Celsius, making it one of the coldest places in the solar system, excluding distant Uranus and Neptune. The double cluster is a binocular gem located high in the northern sky between Perseus and Cassiopeia. Look along the line from Cassiopeia to Perseus to find these twin star clusters, which appear as a hazy patch. It never sets from any of the three cities, climbing highest at 4:45 in the morning in London, at 5:20 in the morning in New York, and at 5:35 in the morning in Los Angeles. NGC 869 and NGC 884 are true stellar siblings. Both are only about 13 million years old and are thought to have formed from the same giant cloud of gas and dust. The Perseids meteors are active tonight and building to their peak in 8 days. Look high in the northern sky in Perseus for up to 23 meteors per hour, letting your eyes wander off the radiant for the longest trails. The radiant never sets from any of the three cities, standing highest at 4:45 in the morning in London, at 5:20 in the morning in New York, and at 5:35 in the morning in Los Angeles. 14 satellites cross the moon's disk on this night, and 4 of those tracks pass close to towns and settlements. We show all 4. The Tiangong space station makes its first crossing of the night. For an observer standing on the narrow ground path, the crossing of the disk takes only about 1 second. The ground path runs from east of Ntum at 5:05 in the morning to east of Sar at 5:09 in the morning. The second crossing of the night is again by the Tiangong space station. Its ground path runs from over the open Pacific at 5:14 in the morning to near Velejapar at 5:18 in the morning. The third crossing of the night is again by the Tiangong space station. Its ground path runs from near Bija at 5:33 in the morning to near Jijiga at 5:36 in the morning. The fourth crossing of the night is again by the Tiangong space station. Its ground path runs from over the open Atlantic at 5:38 in the morning to southwest of Wa at 5:41 in the morning. The solar eclipse is coming soon. Follow Sky Tonight for details. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have clear skies tonight. Come back tomorrow for your next nightly sky guide.